Hi, everyone. My name is Eric Foreman with Cott Systems, and welcome to our webinar and our discussion on historical records. Hopefully, you're on this webinar because you have a passion for the official records that are the history of our country and your county. As custodians of these documents, it's important that we keep them safe and make them accessible to the public as we can. So that's what we're talking about. I'm excited about it. I love getting into the old books, and I have a lot of experience with Cott Systems, 30 plus years, and so I've lived through the years when Cott made many of these index books. So just a brief history of our company. We're over 130 years old. Can you believe it? 1888. Started out as a book bindery, and Mr. Charles Cott, our founder, patented many of the indexing systems that are found in North and South Carolina. So our webinar is kind of geared toward the Carolinas, our good customers down there. We've had a lot of experience in those areas of the country, and I like it because it allows me to talk specifically about the style of indexes that are prominent in your area. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through what is OIB, what does it do for me, why is it popular. We're going to talk a little bit about the two major styles of manual indexes that are prevalent in the state. I'm going to do that for a reason, but I'll save that for later. Then we're going to actually go to a couple demo sites, not demo sites, real sites, and see how how your typical public user internally or on the internet would actually look at records. So let's start and talk about online index books, or mostly we call it OIB for short. So what is it? It really is taking a combination of the digital images of the index books that of course relate to many book and pages in a record book. Then we bundle that into some unique software that we've designed, and through professional services here at our company, we build you a custom application that mimics in all respects the way those manual indexes work. So, I would love to take credit for this idea, but actually this was really the genesis of this idea was actually, and I still remember it, conversation many years ago with a former registered deeds Lois Green in Caldwell County, North Carolina. He said to me, why, come look at my indexes, Eric, and let me show you how they work. And she did, and there were some hot index books, and she said, these provide a lot of good utility. Why would I want to re-index all of the data that's in these books into my computer system? I don't have the time or the money to do that. You need to create a product that allows me to see these in a digital form so that I can preserve the books and make them accessible in my office and on the internet. And so that's kind of what it started out as. And she was right. There was a need for this product, and with her help and others, we have come up with a great product, and I'm going to show you that. This is just a fun little cartoon. This was marketing of Cott Index System back in 1950. So, our business was all about selling index books, and really that was the software of the day. And some of these indexes were quite sophisticated and broke the alphabet down into hundreds of categories and made searching manual indexes prior to computers pretty darn good. And today we see this is just an example, pictures of some indexes. So indexes generally are split by grantor and grantee, mortgagor, mortgagee. It could be court records, could be defendant, plaintiff, all kinds of different indexes that point you to documents that need to be accessible. So In North and South Carolina, most indexes are maintained by the party's name, a grantor grantee name. Some other areas of the country, indexes are actually geographic based. So, this product has evolved to handling name indexes, geographic indexes, card indexes. Many different styles of indexes are now being utilized through this software. So let's take a moment and just talk about the two main styles of indexes that probably are in your counties, at least if you're in North or South Carolina. So the first one was called a universal style index, and this was made by Cott, and it was other similar types of companies that did the same thing. But in this style, you can see this is the sub-index page that would have been in the S book. And so you can see right away that it breaks the alphabet down into the first three characters of the surname. So if I was looking for a name like Sargent, for example, S-A-R, I would turn to page 5 in the index, and that's where all the S-A-R to S-A-T names would have been handwritten or typed. So I could get pretty close to the name I was looking for in this type of index. It also made use of what's called a set out names, or these were the popular names that were set aside and given their own page. So Sanders was a popular name in this county, so they said, I'm going to give that page 72. That was going to be the page where all Sanders would be posted as they came in and got recorded and indexed. So, and then individual names were separated from firm names. Grantor names were separated from grantee names. So there was a lot of utility provided to searchers in this style of index. The other style that's found in the Carolinas is called a family name style index, and it kind of takes the idea of setouts a step further. And so in this index, you had a sub-index page, but literally every unique surname that occurred was given its own page, or at least a directory to a page. It might have shared that page with more than one surname. So as you can see, all the different surnames are listed in this directory, and it tells you what page to go to. So if I was looking for the name Shell, I would turn to page 16, and that's where I would find that name. So if there was a manual index book, this would be the style I'd want to run into, probably, if I was a searcher, because it really breaks the alphabet down and gives me a direct location to the name I'm going to. It's going to get me to as close as I can, and this is what they did prior to the computer. Now, in this particular county, and I could tell by the typed names and the years that are on this index that this was actually re-indexed. So in many counties, those folks that came way before us actually retyped and re-indexed in the only way they could during that time. Prior to computers, they retyped indexes onto either on a typewriter or they hand wrote them. And by doing so, they organized their indexes in a pretty sophisticated way. That's the family name style index. A lot of times you found these indexes delivered in a half-size binder, so it was 9 inches by 14. Now, why did I go through that little exercise? Well, I did that because I wanted to show you that there's a lot of sophistication in these older manual indexes. And when we get to the software, our goal was to never lose any of that sophistication. So the utility that it provided and the power of that index, we don't want to lose any of that when we build the application into our OIB product. We don't want to take a step back. We want to make it at least mimic the way it worked. So how do we kind of put an online index books project together? Let's talk about the components that we need. Well, first we need to index books. We need to index book images. And that's what we've been talking about so far. And the second part really is ultimately is the docket. I'm sorry, the record book image. So that's where the document actually resides. So these are your deed books, your mortgage books. It could be real estate books. Depends on how they were named in your county. So now that we have the index book images and the record book images provided to us, we then sit down with our professionals here, examine each index series, determine what style it is, how it works, and through our software, we build the index rules that mimic that particular index. So we're not trying to reinvent it, we're just trying to mimic it so that it works just like it would if I walked in and pulled books out of the roller shelves. And then, of course, it's going to be displayed to the user through a web-based application so that I can see it anywhere that I have an internet connection to my constituents. So I told you a little bit of story about Lois Green and how she was kind of the genesis of at least conversation here in our company about the need for this kind of product. And so here's the needs that it fulfills. So many counties have been already pushing their indexes and images out on the internet, providing their public access to their records. A great thing for the public. So this product now becomes a second arm to that strategy. So whereas the current land records management system is handling your contemporary information, this is a great companion product that now can address the historical documents going back to the beginning of the county without the need to re-index the data into your current computer system. The second thing that's just a tremendous benefit once this is all said and done for the county register of deeds and or the recorder is the fact that during the process, we're gathering index information, we're gathering record book information. We may be getting images from record books. We may be getting some from microfilm. But we're putting all those pieces together, and so we're really inventorying everything in your vault, and we're organizing it in a way that can be easily found by the user, and you know that you've got all the parts and safe and secure. So what usually happens is as we get near the end of the product, we discover that there are some pages missing from certain books, or there may be something missing from an index or a page, or something's just not quite right. So we have to go back to the customer and say, hey, we are missing some things. It wasn't in what we scanned, or it wasn't in what you sent us. And so we need to fill these gaps before we present this to the public. And that might mean going back to archives, pulling microfilm, finding these images, and getting them to us, and then we get them back in the right spot. So that when we're done, you have a lot of confidence in knowing that I've filled in all the pieces, the missing pieces. And you really don't know that sometimes until the project is almost done. Of course, this is going to improve your disaster preparedness position. So we're all concerned about disaster preparedness. This is a great product that not only adds access to these documents, but assures you and the officials in the county that this data is safe. It's in our Tier 4 data center, and it's a great way to improve your position. Again, the same when it comes to business continuity. So if something were to happen at the county, perhaps some kind of physical situation in your county, and you can't be at the courthouse doing work, this data is on the internet. It's at our data center, so the access to it is uninterrupted. Great benefit to the public. The other thing is that, we kind of take your staff out of the physical world of pulling books, finding books and pulling books as they help constituents. So people that are calling that need help don't understand your office. I know in a lot of your in your offices you got great staff that'll get up and help people find their grandfather's deed or whatever record they're looking for. But it means pulling books, answering phone calls are a little delayed because you have to go into the vault. By getting them all on the computer, all of this is right at the fingertips of the staff, so they can answer questions or help those that are coming into your office find what they're looking for much quicker. And it's going to reduce the wear and tear on those fragile books. Not only wear and tear on the books, but on your staff and the public. These books are heavy. Those index books, as you know, are over 20 pounds. And some folks that are coming in, elderly, or those maybe with a disability, don't have easy access to pulling index books, throwing them on a roller shelf on a countertop, or getting on ladders and getting up on pulling books that are at the top of the roller shelf. So this just becomes a much easier way to navigate those physical books that are in your office. And then finally, this application is really something you ought to look for. You don't have to be a Cott computer customer. You don't have to be using our land record system for your contemporary documents to entertain a look at this. So we have many counties that choose our historical product, our OIB product, because it's the best out there. So they look at it, they go, I like the way yours works. I'm going to use this product to handle my historical product, but maybe I'll stay with what I'm doing on the contemporary stuff. So all that does is provide, usually on the website, there's a link that takes them to the history and this product, and there may be another link that then sends them to whatever you're currently doing. So it's very easy to work in conjunction with some other computer strategies you might have. Okay, so I kind of set that up because now I want to show you the software, and I want to show you how we make a lot of effort in making it work the way those manual indexes work that I just showed you. So I'm going to take you to Darlington County, South Carolina. So I am going to go into their online index book, their current customer, and here's how the software works. So the first thing I'm looking at is the series. So this is a drop down of the different index series that we have scanned to date. So we scanned the grantors and the grantees from 65 to 89, and the same for the mortgages. So this is a customer that has so far done the scanning back to 65, but as time and money becomes available, I'm sure the effort will be going back to the beginning, ultimately to the beginning of the county. So let's say we're going to search a deed, and we want to look at the grantors. That's the name I'm interested in. Remember, I talked about individuals and firms being separated in some of these indexes, and so the software requires you to tell me, do I want an individual name or a firm name? Let's say I'm looking for the name Miller. I just type it in, and up will come a box that will be dependent on what I key in as the name, and it's saying, well, there are really maybe 3 pages in the index that you really ought to be thinking about looking at. So one would be on 59. These are the ones that begin MIL through MIQ, and then Miller happens to be the set-out name. Remember, we talked about that earlier. That's a popular name that was given its own page. So let's go to that page. So all I have to do is select. It opens up the index book, and it opens it up right where I want to be. on page 100. So there's obviously a lot of work on our part to kind of stitch this together to make it work. But that's what I mean by building the index logic. That's the service that our professionals do here at our company. So it's not just about getting the image, which you might already have. It's about giving those images to someone that understands indexing, understands how your constituents want to retrieve the indexes, and not lose any of the utility that these older indexes provided. So here I'm in page 100, and you'll see that there's 4 thumbnails. So in this particular case, if I scroll down, and I can see where these names were handwritten into the index, we turn over to the next page. These are more Millers. And then when this page filled up, someone took a blank page from the back of the book, inserted it in, and called it 100 again. And this became a continuation page. So there's 4 pages, 4 images of Miller. Once I found the name that I'm looking for, here's a Miller. Let's say this is the one I'm looking for. I finally found my book page reference. And that's ultimately what the index is all about. So now that I've found that book page reference, I can go up here. Because this county has also scanned the record books, I now show these are all the record books that have been scanned and accessible by the system. I can either type in 921 or I can just pick it from the drop down. So this is 921, and then now the page is 813. So I'm going to key in 813, hit enter. Now I'm leaving the index and I'm opening up the record book that's been scanned, and I'm taking you to page 813. So the index obviously was correct. It pointed me to the correct book and page. Here's my Miller, the name that I was looking for, that I saw on the index. And at this point, I have access to the entire book of 813 because I don't really know how many pages are in that instrument. So what we do is just open up the entire book, and if I see that this is the first page of the document I'm looking for, then I'll just select this box and then hit the second thumbnail. This is the second page of this instrument. This appears to be the end of the instrument. So I'll select that page. And now I'm going to go and print. And I'm going to print my selected pages. I'm going to go to the print dialog box and go to the printer that my computer is connected to, and now I can just print those 2 pages. So very intuitive. Just a thought about a comment about printing. This particular county provides free access to not only the index but the associated record book image. That's not the way everyone wants to work. Some want to charge access to the image or charge if it's printed. And so those are things what we call e-commerce. And Cott does have an e-commerce module that can sit on top of OIB and control printing and provide you a revenue source down the road. If you're in a state that's common in, want you to know that e-commerce is fully functional, allows users to set up their own accounts, fund their own accounts, and allow you to not lose print revenue if that's your choice. Okay, so let's get out of printing. And I want to take you now to one other site real quick. I'm going to take you to Iredell County, North Carolina, because I want to now show you how it handles the other style of index that I talked about, the family name style index. So here is their indexes. So they have a pretty nice index here, manual. It's deeds from the beginning of the county all the way to 1923, which is pretty remarkable. And right away, that's an indication that this is an index that's been totally redone somewhere in our history. So somebody who did an awful lot of work, we're benefiting from it today. So here's our grantor and grantee. Let's say we want to see the grantee side. And I'm going to put a name like Baker. Now I can key in Baker all the way, or if I don't want to, I can just key in a stem of the name. So let's just do that. Let's just put in B-A-K. Okay, that brought me right to Baker. I'm going to go back. Let's put in just B all by itself. So the reason I put in B is I wanted to show you, remember, every name, every unique name in a family name style index has its own page. So part of building the logic is for Cott to create a database of all those unique names that we find from the images in your index. We're not re-indexing all the entries, just the directory that's at the beginning of that book. So if I wanted to look at it this way, I could scroll down through, and if I want to look at Baker, I could pick it from the list. Here's Baker. Baker was assigned to page 4 in this index, so I'm going to select that. It's going to take me to, if you could see it, but there's a number 4 over here, and you can see what work has been done to retype this book. So that's one of the reasons why OIB is so popular in some parts of the country, because there's been a lot of work put into adding a lot of utility to this index. And so why not leverage it? Why not use what we have as a tremendous alternative to re-indexing all of this data? And then there are 5 pages of Baker. So there's Bailey. And again, I can take a name. Baker was down here. I can take over here and look to see the book and page and magnify this for you a little bit through these image tools. Come across, here's book A. So this is the earliest book in this county. Remarkable. We have full access to the entire vault. This county has actually scanned all of their documents, so A through Z, and all the way until they finally started into their, they got their very first computer. So we're going to put in A and 132. So we're going to look at a pretty old record book image. Now, this image, I don't really know right off bat whether they sent us this image, whether we tried to get it from microfilm. Obviously, this is a pretty sketchy image. So depending on the media that we got it from, you're going to have a different quality of image depending on, what we can work with. So we are working with microfilm, microfiche, film jackets. Sometimes, in the court side, things that are tri-folded and put into metal pull-out drawers. So however those documents exist physically in your vault, that may determine the quality of image that you see. Let's just randomly pick something a little bit newer. want to just point out, as we get into the newer documents, depending on the county that you're in or the state that you're in, we have some redaction laws and redaction issues today. And so I wanted to point that out because this product fully supports redaction of Social Security number or other sensitive information that might have been redacted. So through the software, if I'm signed on as a public user, as I am on this Iredell site, and I had redacted images, I would see the redaction. So I would not see any of these Social Security numbers that had been redacted. If I'm inside the office or if I sign on as the staff, one of the staff folks, chances are I'm signed on in a way that I would see the unaltered document, the unredacted document, because I may need to provide an original copy of the document. So we need to do both so we can handle redaction and unredacted documents. And then finally, I just want to quickly go to another one. This is up in Ohio. And the reason I wanted to show you this one is you can see that these indexes can get lengthy. So in this particular site, and this is where I talked about how we kind of organize all of the different indexes into an easy to access form. So to find these indexes in this office is somewhat difficult. Deeds are in one part of on certain roller shelves. Mortgages are on another roller shelves. If I was looking for power of attorneys, they're somewhere else. So, not unless you're very familiar with the office, it can be cumbersome to find what you're looking for. And so this just puts it into a nice, clean manner. So, I kind of compare it to, organizing your closet and getting it straight so you know where everything is, or organizing your tool chest so you know where all your tools are and you know whether anything are missing. That's a byproduct of just organizing your data and making it easy to find. The same with the record books. So, in this particular county, there were deed books, there were lease books, mechanics liens, miscellaneous, power of attorneys. And so for each of these types of books, we know exactly what books we have and what we don't have. Now, in this particular county, virtually everything in the vault has been scanned, so I have complete access to all of the historical documents through the software. And that's really, really what this product was designed to do. It was designed to leverage what you have, store it in the Tier 4 data center so we don't lose it, we know where it is, and we can provide a really easy way for the non-professional and the professional to search your data without, calling you on the phone all the time about how do I search something in your vault. Okay, so we visited the two sites. I want to just kind of end with some key takeaways. So let's just review. Hopefully, I've pointed out, kind of how these, how some of the power of these old manual indexes and why we want you to consider anyway to leverage what you've already got. It's a cost-effective way to kind of add to a strategy that you probably are already embarking on, and that's making more of these documents available to the public in a secure way, in a redacted way. And then if you want to, to control access and charge for access, knowing that that's also available through the product. So it's electronic backup, it's in our Tier 4 data center, or it could be locally installed on your system if you choose. I went through a couple of different styles of indexes because they're all different, and I just highlighted two. It's likely that even within your own county, indexes from one era are not the same as indexes from an older older or a newer era, because people changed. People changed throughout the years. And then the project can be broken down. So, when you're tackling the entire vault, it can be overwhelming. How am I going to do it all? Well, you have to do it in pieces a lot of times. You have to decide, what is the most beneficial images to do first? What's the greatest utility? Is it the deeds? Is it getting plats scanned? What would I prioritize as my most high value documents? Or it could be looked at from another standpoint. And in some areas we have documents, the oldest documents are falling apart and we're quickly losing them. And so we need to get them scanned so that before we won't be able to anymore. So sometimes when we talk to our clients, it's not so much about access, it's about saving what they have before they can no longer lose it, before it's lost. So, but that can be broken into phases, and we can consult with you. Some start with the index first, and they say, let's get the indexes on our site. Let's make that viewable. Maybe the record book images would come later, but at least our researchers can go out and find book and page references, get them written down. Then they can walk into the office later and they're ready to pull books and they're ready to go to work. So a couple different ways to look at it. And finally, you can deploy it. The software can be deployed on your server, or what's a popular option for our clients is that we host it on our Tier 4 data center here in our main office, not in our office, but at a data center. It's a Tier 4 data center in Columbus. And you know that it's safe, there's redundancies, and that's what we're trying to accomplish with the Tier 4 data center. So unfortunately, we're not going to have an ability in this webinar to open it up to discussions and questions. I hope that you'll jot down my email, my phone number. I would be happy to talk to you more about the product. You see what it does. Look to see if it fits in your strategy for protecting the documents, making them available. I can contact our area rep to get in touch with you, to start a dialogue, to visit you, to understand what your needs are. So thank you for not only spending your time with me, but for the services that you provide your counties and the important role that you play as custodians of our historical documents. So again, thank you very much and have a great day.